Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ Yadi jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Rādhārānīṃ navindamātada nishphalam bhagavata yayinam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham, and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, all of our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing our reading today from a new chapter, chapter 23, discussing the Sisumara planets. Shri Suka Uvacha Atatasmat Paratastrayodasa Laksha Yojanantarato Yatad Vishno Paramam Padam Abhiva Danti Yatraha Mahabhagavato Dhruva Autana Padir Agni Nandrena Prajapatina Kasyapena Dharmena Cha Samakala Yubhi Sabahu Manam Dakshinata Kriyamana Idanim Apikalpa Jivinam Ajivya Upashate Tasye Hanubhava Upavarnita. Sukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, 1,300,000 yojanas, which is 10,400,000 miles, above the planets of the seven sages, is the place that learned scholars describe as the abode of Lord Vishnu. There the son of Maharaj Uttanapad, the great devotee, Maharaj Dhruva, still resides as the life source of all living entities who live until the end of the creation. Agni, Indra, Prajapati, Kasyapa, and Dharma all assemble there to offer him honor and respectful obeisances. They circumambulate him with their right sides toward him. I have already described the glorious activities of Maharaj Dhruva in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 2. Sahi sarvesham jyotirgananam graha nakṣatradinam animishena vyaktaramhasa bhagavata kalena brahmyamananam stanor ivavastamba ishvarena vihita shasvad avabhashate. Established by the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pole star, which is the planet of Maharaj Dhruva, constantly shines as the central pivot for all the stars and planets. The unsleeping, invisible, most powerful time factor causes these luminaries to revolve around the pole star without cessation. Purport. It is distinctly stated herein that all the luminaries, the planets and stars, revolve by the influence of the supreme time factor. The time factor is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is under the influence of the time factor. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind and loves his devotee Maharaj Dhruva so much that he has placed all the luminaries under the control of Dhruva's planet and has arranged for the time factor to work under him or with his cooperation. Everything is actually done according to the will and direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to make his devotee Dhruva the most important individual within the universe, the Lord has placed the activities of the time factor under his control. Jai Dhruva Maharaj. Text 3. Yatha medhistamba akramana pashas pasava samyojitas tribis savanar yatastanam mandalani charantyevam bhagana grahadaya etasmin antar bahir yogena kalachakra ayojita dhruvam evavalambya vayuno dhiryamana akalpantam parichan kramanti nabhasi yatha megha senadayo vayu vasakarma sarataya parivartante evam jyotirgana prakriti purusha sam yoganugrihita karma nirmita gatayo bhuvi na patanti. When bulls are yoked together and tied to a central post to thresh rice, they tread around that pivot without deviating from their proper positions. One bull being closest to the post, another in the middle, and a third on the outside. Similarly, all the planets and all the hundreds and thousands of stars revolve around the pole star. The planet of Maharaj Dhruva in their respective orbits, some higher and some lower, fastened by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the machine of the material nature, according to the results of their fruit of acts. They are driven around the pole star by the wind and will continue to be so until the end of creation. These planets floating in the air within the vast sky, just as clouds with hundreds of tons of water float in the air, or as the great Siena eagles, due to the results of past activities, fly high in the sky and have no chance of falling to the ground. Just looking, is the word mechanical here? The wheel, kala chakra, fixture, being propelled under creation. Okay. Purport. According to the description of this verse, the hundreds and thousands of stars and the great planets such as the Sun, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter are not clustered together because of the law of gravity or any similar idea of the modern scientists. These planets and stars are all servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda or Krishna, and according to his order they sit in their chariots and travel in their respective orbits. The orbits in which they move are compared to machines given by material nature to the operating deities of the stars and planets, who carry out the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revolving around Dhruva Loka, which is occupied by the great devotee Maharaj Dhruva. This is confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5.52 as follows. Yachchakshur esha savita shakalagrahanam raja samasta suramurtir sesha teja yasyagya brahmati sambritta kala chakro govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. This verse from Brahma Samhita confirms that even the largest and most powerful planet, the sun, rotates within a fixed orbit or kala chakra, in obedience to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has nothing to do with gravity or any other imaginary laws created by the material scientists. Material scientists want to avoid the ruling government of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore they imagine different conditions under which they suppose the planets move. The only condition, however, is the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the various predominating deities of planets are persons, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also a person. The Supreme Personality orders the subordinate persons, the demigods of various names, to carry out his supreme will. This fact is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10, wherein Krishna says, Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sa charachara hetunane nakanteya jagad vipari vartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. The orbits of the planets resemble the bodies in which all living entities are seated, because they are both machines controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.61, Ishvaraha sarva-bhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva-bhutani yantra rudrani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. The machine given by material nature, whether the machine of the body or the machine of the orbit, or Kala Chakra, works according to the orders given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and material nature work together to maintain this great universe, and not only this universe, but also the millions of other universes beyond this one. The question of how the planets and stars are floating is also answered in this verse. It is not because of the laws of gravity. Rather, the planets and stars are enabled to float by manipulations of the air. It is due to such manipulations that big, heavy clouds float and big eagles fly in the sky. Modern airplanes, like the 747 jet aircraft, work in a similar way. By controlling the air, they float high in the sky resisting the tendency to fall to earth. Such adjustments of the air are all made possible by the cooperation of the principles of Purusha male and Prakriti female. By the cooperation of material nature, which is considered to be Prakriti, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is considered the Purusha, all the affairs of the universe are going on nicely in their proper order. Prakriti, material nature, is also described in Brahma Samhita 5.44 as follows. Shristi stiti pralaya sadhana shaktireka chayeva yasya bhuvanani vibharti durga ichanurupam api yasya chachestate sa govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit or spiritual potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Material nature, the external energy of the Supreme Lord, is also known as Durga, or the female energy that protects the great fort of this universe. The word Durga also means fort. This universe is just like a great fort in which all the conditioned souls are kept, and they cannot leave it unless they are liberated by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord himself declares in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvata tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mam iti sarjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, thus simply by Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can be liberated, or in other words, one can be released from the great fort of this universe and go outside it to the spiritual world. It is also significant that the predominating deities of even the greatest planets have been offered their exalted posts because of the very valuable pious activities they performed in previous births. This is indicated herein by the words karma nirmita gatayaha. For example, as we have previously discussed, the moon is called Jiva, which means that he is a living entity like us. But because of his pious activities, he has been appointed to his post as the moon god. Similarly, all the demigods are living entities who have been appointed to their various posts as the masters of the moon, the earth, Venus, and so on, because of their great service and pious acts. Only the predominating deity of the sun, Surya Narayan, is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maharaj Dhruva, the predominating deity of Dhruva Loka, is also a living entity. There are two kinds of entities, the Supreme Entity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the ordinary living entity, the Jiva, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitanam. All the demigods are engaged in the service of the Lord, and only by such an arrangement are the affairs of the universe going on. Regarding the great eagles mentioned in this verse, it is understood that there are eagles so big that they can prey on big elephants. They fly so high that they can travel from one planet to another. They start flying in one planet and land in another. And while in flight they lay eggs that hatch into other birds while falling through the air. In Sanskrit, such eagles are called syena. Under the present circumstances, of course, we cannot see such huge birds, but at least we know of eagles that can capture monkeys and then throw them down to kill and eat them. Similarly, it is understood that there are gigantic birds that can carry off elephants, kill them, and eat them. The two examples of the eagle and the cloud are sufficient to prove that flying and floating can be made possible through adjustments of the air. The planets in a similar way are floating because material nature adjusts the air to the orders of the Supreme Lord. It should be said that these adjustments constitute the law of gravity, but in any case one must accept that these laws are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The so-called scientists have no control over them. The scientists can falsely, improperly declare that there is no God, but this is not a fact. So we will conclude our reading here for today and continue from text 4 on Friday. So, Srila Prabhupada has given us so much to think about. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is an acharya, so his position is always to emphasize the correctness of the scriptures, and then he would give his disciples the seva, the service, and the duty to extrapolate on that a bit. So while Srila Prabhupada will just tell us flat out that these mechanical laws, such as gravity, are imaginations from scientists, and the reality is that what is keeping the entire cosmos in motion is the will of the Supreme Lord, then he will give the seva to his disciples to connect that more to direct conversation with scientists, because he is not unaware of the fact that these kind of statements are hard to swallow for people, or hard to understand. So what does that look like? Some things Sripad Puri Maharaj would write about in this connection are, what is it called? And in his book, Idols of the Mind versus True Reality, which we've made quite a few videos about on Mahaprabhu Broadcasting Channel. Basically, in the mathematics of the mechanics of the planetary bodies' movements, there statistically should be more collisions than there actually are. So the fact that these collisions are not happening means there is some, he would describe it as intelligence behind the maintenance, behind the systematic and strict adherence to certain kinds of movements of the planetary bodies. And in this way, he would say that the simple mechanical explanations are a map that the scientists are trying to draw of a territory that exists well beyond the map, and that has features to it that the map simply cannot embody, right? The map is very limited. It is a representation of the territory, but it's missing so many details that cannot be accounted for in the map. You can only account for them by directly experiencing the nature of the terrain. So in this way, meditating on the cosmos, as this chapter is all about the Śiśumāra, right? This aspect of the Lord which is for the meditation of the yogis on the cosmos. It's only through that kind of meditation that we can have some idea of what's really governing the movement of the celestial bodies. These laws about gravity are more of a map that is very rough and corresponds more to how the scientist, or how the observer, how the spiritually untrained observer observes the cosmos, and not so much about what the cosmos actually are in themselves, not so much about what the terrain is actually. So that much I can say about what we read today. Is there anything else anybody would like to share? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Tirtha Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
To the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Radhan Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Jai Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Śrīmatī Tulsi Maharani Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Mati Bhakti Swati Ki Jai, Hare
Krishna Keshava Das Brahmachari Ki Jai.
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.